Hey, welcome everybody. Welcome in. It's time for Dents Dreams, a Paintless Dent Repair podcast focusing on how you can use the fruits of this wonderful trade we call PDR to achieve your wildest dreams. I'm John Vidine, your friendly neighborhood dent reaper and host of Dents Dreams. And now, let's get started. So today, I have a wonderful, wonderful guest. You may know him as the PDR Coach, a la the name of his podcast. I know him as Coach Cory K, and I'm just going to bring him in without any further ado. Coach Cory, how are you?
I'm great. How's it going today?
Pretty good, pretty good. Loving life?
Loving life, just Dents and Dreams. That's what I always say.
And dreams, baby. It's another beautiful day. I tell you what, 16 degrees outside and a lovely 69 in here right now. So
nice. Yeah, in California, we're at least double that right now. So pretty stoked about that. I was cold this morning. I was working out this morning and it was 36 and I was a little frustrated. Not going to lie. It was a little chilly. Yeah.
You were pushing metal in 36 degrees?
No, I was working out.
Oh, working out.
I guess that was, pushing metal upwards and pulling on it, that kind of metal.
Yeah, it's a different push.
Yeah.
It's a different push.
Mm-hmm.
Also beneficial. So, you know how we normally do this. We got to go over your origin story. I think most people probably already know you, but why don't you tell us where you come from, how you got into PDR, and what you're doing now?
Yeah, I wonder how many people know me. I think about that sometimes, with how many texts there are in this country versus how many podcast downloads I get. If it's based off that, no one knows me. So maybe this will help a little bit. So my origin story is a little interesting. I'm already a second generation PDR tech, but my dad started with Dent Pro, the original Dent Pro out on the West Coast in like late 90, early 91. I think he technically started his business in 1991. He was like delivering air for Prax Air and doing all this like just stuff to barely make it by, just barely making it work. And his buddy approached him who owned a used car dealership, approached him about starting this, thing where they, fix dents by kind of just pushing them out, And my dad's always been pretty handy. He could build stuff, make stuff, always worked on his own house, built all of this stuff. So he's like, all right, let's give it a shot. So they borrowed money from my grandpa, my mom's dad, and came up with $60,000 between the two of them in 90, which was like everything. 60 grand to buy
training back then?
To buy the franchise. So it was an original franchise. I think there were 6 guys who originally started doing it. And my dad and his partner were one of them in 1991. And then there was training for 3 or 4 weeks. Basically, look at this PVC pipe or this PVC pipe mounted on a board, just like stuck in a board. Only one way. You can only have it straight up and down, right? You couldn't bend it or turn it. It was just a PVC pipe. So look at this and then just get, on the back of the panel, push it out from the inside out. It's super easy, right? So 3 weeks of training, it's like ready, set, go. Pros and cons to that, though, back in the 90s was you could walk into a dealer and say, hey, I can fix those dents for you without you sending them to the body shop. And they're like, bullshit. Like, let me show you. It'll take me a quick 7 hours to fix that 1-inch dent. And you'll see how great it is. But anyway, so I was born in 86. My dad started in 91. So, my whole life he's been doing this for any of my memory. Go to work with them on the summers. And really in high school was when I started somewhat getting interested in it. He would force me to go to work with him essentially during high school summers. So I wouldn't, stay out of trouble, instead of riding my bike all around the city and, finding stuff to do. I'd go to work with him and we'd go to like a used car lot or a Hertz car sales. And there'd be 25 cars that are due. He'd fix 24 and I'd hack up one for 7 hours and he'd come behind me and fix it and we'd go to the next place. And that's how I learned. My dent repair training was really over a span of 4 years in the summers. And that's how I learned. So go ahead.
So he's running a mobile business in the early 90s.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how do you manage it? Did he have the Zach Morris brick phone? How do you manage that?
He had a pager.
All right.
Yeah. Back in the day, he had I remember pager and on his belt, and some body shop or somebody would text him, and we would drive to a payphone and call, for everyone probably knows what pagers are, but there was very minimal texting. And so it was just like, call me, phone number.
So we'd find a payphone in there. And then if it's an emergency, you put 911 after.
Okay. I didn't even know that.
I had a pager when I was in high school.
I was a kid. So I'm like, I don't even know. So we'd find a payphone, or we'd be at another body shop or a dealership, and we'd call them up and, and say, hey, how can we help you? Then he upgraded to like Palm Pilot. And then he had a phone built into his truck, until really obviously 07, 8, 9. But yeah, he was running that business for, it wasn't a ton of retail. It was pretty much just wholesale body shops at that point. You walk into a dealership and tell them what you could do. And they were all so amazed that you just got the dealership. It wasn't now where like everybody has a dent guy. Back then, people didn't even know what it was. And it's interesting too, because I've talked to him before, and they were billing $75 per panel back then. So if you had a car with like 5 panels on it, you were making good money in the 90s. But the downside was that the tooling and the training was so rudimentary that the amount of time it took to fix stuff was just 10 times it is now. So really the money was fairly similar, even though we're getting now in the same business 30 years later, probably $75 a car.
Yeah. Crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So does he still push?
He still pushes. Yep. He started he was about my age, I think, exactly my age, 34 when he started, and he's 63 going on 64, still pushes. I think it keeps him young,
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But he's still out there every day. Like, he's not grinding as much as he used to, but he's there every day. He doesn't do wholesale. He doesn't do 18 cars in a day. He's just body shops and retails, that type of stuff.
Jackpot.
That's how I got into the business, man. Just kind of forced on me.
Well, I mean, it's a good thing to have forced on you.
It is.
At least your dad wasn't, working in a slaughterhouse.
Yeah, exactly. You know who worked in a slaughterhouse?
Oh, Michael Hidrogo.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great.
Have you had him on your podcast?
I have, yeah.
Is that where I heard that probably?
Yeah.
So
I'll dig, if you're curious, I'll dig a little further into that. I shared it a little bit, but getting stuff handed to you or forced upon you in life gives you a different perspective about it, right? I mean, everything in life is perspective and the way you see it and the way that it really resonates with you. So my whole life, I thought dent repair was easy because I just learned how to do it over many, many years. It was never, I don't remember like the pain and the struggle. Cause when I was going to work with my dad, he just gave me free lunch and I was happy. I didn't even make money. I was just like riding around with him. Right.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like I had expectations of quality in order to get paid so I can pay my fucking rent. It was just like, So when I came out of all that training and I graduated from high school and I'm like, I'm going to take a week off or a semester off before I go to college and just like do this dent repair thing full time. So I went to official Dent Pro training with the owner of Dent Pro at the time, Mitch. And it was a 4-week training program. And me being a high school kid that just wasn't on the right path, I showed up a week late on accident. And so he was pissed about that. And then 1 week into the training, he sent me home. He was like, dude, you don't need the training. You've been working with your dad for a total of a year probably over this time. Like, you can fix shit already. As good as I can teach you, just go do it, And so obviously for me, I'm like, I'm the fucking best dent guy there ever was, right? I already know how to do it. I'm 18 years old. I don't even need training, all this stuff, right? So you get that in your head. Like, that's the perspective that you have going into it. Doesn't make for growing a great business or a great mindset around it,
A little extra swagger going on.
Right. Yeah. Looking back, I realized why, but also I wish somebody had probably, checked me a little bit. So 2009, shit hit the fan in the world. Right. And dent repair was about as luxury as you get. Brakes and other stuff come before dent repair.
Yeah. So when you went to that training, was that 2009 or was that 2008 or?
That was 2004.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got 5 years leading up until the bubble burst, basically.
Yeah. So I was just working for my dad. And so I did that first semester. I went back to work for my dad full time. And then I started going to college, and I would go to college 3 days a week, and I would work for my dad 2 days a week. And so my ego was building that entire time, right? I'm working 2 days a week. A lot of my buddies and friends were like waiter or waitressing or working at wherever like 5 nights a week for tips, and they're making like, $600 or something. And I'm working, and I'm decent at dent. I am decent at dent repair at this point, and I'm making, I work two full days a week, and I'm, making, $4,000 a month in college, working 2 days a week. So add that on top of everything, right? I'm going to college. I'm making, crazy money for a college kid that's not working nights and weekends. So I had all this free time, and I just had this whole ego built up about me that I understand life. I get it. I got this thing, all this stuff. And so 2009 came around, and I just graduated college, just got married, all that stuff. And kind of stuff was falling apart around Denpro. So I told my dad, like, hey, I'm going to go do like a real job. I'm going to go like work for like a big company, right? And do some sales or wear a suit and all that shit. That's who I thought I was at the time. So I left and went and did that for about 3 years. And I hated about every minute of it, to be honest with you. So I went around and I was working for big trucking companies doing sales. And then I ended up in medical device sales. And I was running around there all over California selling medical devices and making decent money, but traveling like a mother, like a hail guy, I would say, Not really, because I wouldn't be stationed in one place, but I would travel for like 3 weeks out of the month. And I had my first kid, and I just had to cold turkey that, because my wife was like, I didn't sign up. Go. I'm talking too much. You tell me.
No, you're not. It's just amazing to me. So how long were you out of PDR before you got back in?
From 9 to 12. 09 to 2012. Yeah. Wow. So I was like 5 or 6 years in, 5 or 6 years of full time, but like 4 more years of part time. So I was good enough to make most people happy. Like I was a 19-year-old kid going to people's houses working on their $100,000 Mercedes. They would pull up and be like, where's this kid dent guy? How could you be good at this? So anyways, I was gone for 3 years. Yeah.
That's amazing. I don't know anybody who's taken a sabbatical from PDR. So you were selling, you were in basically outside sales, would you call it? Just going shop to shop, selling this or that. What kind of income is that? 50, 60 grand a year or something?
No, so I was like, I've always been outgoing and decent at sales and stuff. So the reason I got into medical device was for the money. That's what I thought, like the pinnacle of the outside sales world. And if you ask people that do sales, it's, you get into medical device and pharmaceuticals. That's usually, if I don't know, there's a lot more women in pharmaceutical sales and a lot more men in medical device. It is what it is. It's not I'm not saying there's a reason for it. It just is what it is. So I was in medical device sales, and I was making, 90. 100. If I got bonused or did well, I could make a little over 100, right? Which was better than money that I was making in dent repair. But as a 20-something-year-old, it's pretty good. But yeah, I hated that. I hated just selling something and then never seeing it again. I didn't like that. Especially coming from dent repair, where I sold something, delivered the product, and saw the customer's reaction.
Yeah.
Right. And so now I was just selling stuff, and just whatever the little number on the Excel spreadsheet that they sent me, if that went up, then I was doing better, and that was it. And so the impetus for me to quit was like, we had our first kid, and my wife was like, when we signed up for this whole life thing together, like it wasn't for you to be gone for 75, 80, 85% of the time. Like, it's not going to work this way. It wasn't like we didn't really go down the road of talking about divorce or anything like that, but it was clear that if that was my path in life, then it wasn't going to work. So, and I was doing good in sales. I was like doing good. And so like they would give me more territories. They're like, hey, you have Central California. Now you get to go to Reno in Nevada. Now you get to go to the Bay Area, Silicon Valley. Now you get to go to Bakersfield in LA. I'm like growing territories, but with all that came more possibility of income, but more travel. So I went to him and said like, look, I'm doing good. You like me. You keep giving me more stuff. You need to pull back my travel or I quit. I have to. And they were like, all right, you're fucking replaceable. So peace. Yeah. That's it. I worked 3 years to get to this point. Here. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, stack of a bunch of 20 somethings that are willing to do whatever I tell them for 60 grand to start, like, bye. And so I called my dad up and I was like, I need to come back to work for you. I was like, I can fix dents. I can sell. This was in 2012, I think. And January 1, 2012. And I was like, I can fix dents. I can sell. Let's grow this thing. And so 9 years ago. Yeah.
So how was it coming back? Was there a little rust? Did it take a minute to get your eye back or?
No.
Really? You just jump right back in?
Yeah, I just came back, man. I mean, like weeks, to get it back. It wasn't, it was something that I've been done for almost a decade before that. And so it was, it's riding a bicycle. Like I wasn't good when I came back, but I was doing wholesale. So, it was fine. I remember the first month that I
come back from MTE and the first dent I push, I'm like, how does this go again?
Yeah. But the first dent, that's true. I agree with that. The first month I came back, I did 7,000. Which is, I don't know if that's good, bad.
In January, that's decent.
In January, in California.
Okay. Well, I don't know how California.
So that's my story, man.
Nicer than Minnesota.
Yeah. That's the story. In PDR, out of PDR, back into PDR, and I love the industry. I love the people. I love doing the work. And I know that more than ever. It took me leaving in order to know that, though, to be perfectly honest with you. I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you or coaching people or providing value as much as I can for the industry if I was still just born into it.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty cool. You got to spread your wings in another direction and decided to circle back. So it shows the passion. So
yeah,
you come back in 2012, you start growing stuff, and then was it 19 or 18? When did you start the road to the coaching stuff?
I mean, shit, the road to coaching, I would say, was in 2012. The road to it.
Right.
So I came back. I mean, in the sales process, it's like a lot of the mind game, and you go through some trainings and you learn how to sell and do all that. So I kind of got sparked into the personal development world, right? Yep. Like how, other people can teach me to be way better at these things than I am. Right. Zig Ziglar was like one of the first guys. Like I would listen to his CDs while I was driving around selling. Yep. Someone that I worked with at the time was like, hey, listen to this guy. And so that was really like the personal development start. And I think that's where coaching is like kind of the pinnacle of personal development. I think there's so much free content now with podcasts and books and, just Facebook forums and all these things you can learn from other people, like whether it's dent guys or how to work out or how to lose weight or anything you want to know. Like there's free resources everywhere. Right.
Yeah. There's systems and books and this guy's pyramid or this guy's circle or they all have their way of doing things.
Yeah. I got my circle. I got my Venn diagram. You can go check out on my website. Change your life. It'll change your life. But the problem with the free stuff is that, statistically, and the majority of 1% of people ever do anything with the free information, right? Because there's no skin in the game on it.
Yep.
Right. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, I just learning, growing, trying to be the best person that I could be, but also be humble, right? That whole experience humbled me more than anything else. Like it knocked me down 20 pegs in that, like, I can't just go into something and make it work and be the best at it. Because I thought that what it was. Like I just grew up in dent repair and I just did it. I looked at other people who were like struggling and like it's so hard to learn dent repair. And I'm like, yeah, I don't remember that. But and I've talked about this to people too. Like my passion wasn't there because like I didn't quit my job and go start a dent repair company and sacrifice everything to try to find a way to make it. Yeah. And if you don't have that, it's hard to have the passion. It's hard to have like the perspective on what this industry or what this job really means to so many people,
Well, I mean, that's for me. I mean, the struggle was very real. I mean, I can remember many times thinking about quitting and I mean, I launched more tools. I mean, I could have went to the Olympics for the javelin throw on a couple of them.
Yeah, exactly. I remember those days, but it didn't mean a lot to me. I mean, it was a frustration, but it didn't matter to my livelihood.
You're in college worried about beer money, and I'm worried about my wife and 2-year-old daughter at home. Yep. It's a different struggle.
Yeah, and I made my beer money on the first car. I mean, let's be honest. And then all the rest was gravy after that. So if I got pissed off, I would just leave. Like, fuck this. This is stupid, But eventually I just kept showing up and figured it out. But yeah, I mean, so I go down that path and then I start joining groups, right? I start getting more involved. I start putting a little bit of money where my mouth is. And like when you start putting money in to like learn from people and get trainings from people and attend events, right? Tony Robbins events would be one example, or groups of PDR guy events or whatever, right? And so I started doing that just myself. And I saw my business grow, my mind grow, just personally grow, the relationship with my wife grow, me as a father to my children grew. Like I was just learning all these things from all these different people. And like some of it was good, some of it I tried and it just wasn't for me. And so I'd be like, okay, that doesn't work.
Yeah. So what was the first event that you went to? And is this post 2012, post coming back to PDR?
Yeah, is post 2012. Everything that I've done is virtual.
Okay.
I've never done physical events, partially because I never felt like I had the money for it.
They can be spendy.
They can be very expensive.
I've looked into a few of them. Never done one either personally.
I mean, typically thousands,
Yeah.
And
sometimes 5 figures,
yeah, raising a family, single, I'm the only income. My wife stays at home with 3 kids, living in California, all that stuff. So everything I've done is virtual. So I would join Mastermind Groups, or I would go to trainings online with Tony Robbins or Dean Graziosi or I don't know, some of those people. They escape me right now, but I don't know which one was my actual first. When I look back as I'm talking and rambling, I look back and think like it's all just such a conglomeration of people. Like you said like, oh, did I hear that Michael worked at a slaughterhouse in your podcast? Like I don't even know where I heard half of this stuff from.
Right.
It's just in there. I'm not like, oh, this nugget I got from this person and this nugget I got from this person. And it's just like a personal development journey where you just like each day you take in more information and use what works best for you and try to be the best person that you can.
So that said, do you have a favorite group or book or master?
Yeah, I mean, today my favorite group that I've ever been involved with and still am involved with is the RTA Syndicate. That's on my hat here. If people are watching the videos, this is my Tuesday hat. Because like on Tuesdays, I coach people and I work on my business and I do all that. I don't fix dents on Tuesdays. And what this represents for me is excellence, right? So I'm trying to put myself around people who are better than I am, instead of the other way around. Most of my life was spent.
Sorry about that for today.
No, except for today, yeah. I mean, better in so many different ways, right? It doesn't have to be, I'm trying to put myself around people that are better, and you included. And I know that we like to self-deprecating humor here, but I learned a lot from you having you on my podcast, and I learn a lot from people on my podcast when I'm on their podcast. Everything. Just put yourself around new people, have new conversations, learn new things. Like I didn't even know when we started talking that you were that into the personal development side of the world. I probably should have known because you keep creating new things, business tools, podcast, but
yeah. And I did some outside sales too. And I probably did start with Zig Ziglar, Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins, all those pillars in that space
for sure.
What was shoved into my ears first. Yeah, it was CDs in my car, and I probably have a cassette tape rolling around. Of
that'd be great
somewhere.
That'd be great. I'd love to see that.
I'll have to look.
Dig it up.
It probably got thrown out.
It's next to the Windows Z tool in your shop there. So the artist, I mean, it's run by Ed Milet and Andy Frisella. They're both worth hundreds of millions of dollars, have built dozens of companies between the two of them. Find people that are ahead of you, find people that have done what you want to do, and then hire them to show you. I mean, that's what it comes down to. I mean, it's very similar to PDR training. Like you can learn PDR on your own, right? There's great video resources out there, whether it's free on YouTube or you want to pay a few bucks a month, like 50 or 100, and learn from Real World or Dent Trainer or that kind of thing. And you can do it. Will it take you a year or two? Probably. Or you can pay 10 or 15 grand and go to a dent repair coach or a trainer, as they call themselves.
Yeah.
And for 3 weeks,
one hands-on. Yeah.
Yeah. And I guarantee you, there's no time limit on when you'll learn, but it'll be significantly faster than watching YouTube videos.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. And so can I grow my PDR business by myself? Yeah. I can buy $17 books on Audible and listen to podcasts, and I can do it. There's no doubt about that. But if I put up the money to hire people to show me how they did it, will it be faster? Yeah.
No doubt. Yeah. I mean, I was in my first
groups
mastermind
and hire
last
coaches.
year, and it was eye-opening for sure. And you don't even realize how tall some of those mountains can get until you talk to the people on top of them, and you're like, oh, well, I'm not even at base camp yet. We got things to do. So,
100%.
It's inspiring and informational and amazing when you rub elbows with the right people. So
right, it's like, I mean, there's 50 ways to grow a dent repair business, and get the right talk to the right people, and they can say, yeah, I've done 17 of those ways and none of them worked. So don't make those same 17 mistakes that I did. Try these things, right? And I mean, if you look at how much time and money is lost by doing the wrong things over and over to try to grow a company, it makes sense to pay somebody. It's not an expense; it's an investment to find the right way. And I'm currently learning this. Like I feel like I wish I would have done this. When I say I feel like I couldn't afford these types of things like Arate, I would have never paid for Arate 2-3 years ago. Yeah. It's expensive. No. But it's not expensive because it's an investment. I can never consider my investments expensive because they make me money, Yeah. And so I just try to look at it from a different perspective.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, I mean, you got to have the end in mind when you're at the beginning. And, if you knew you could spend X right now to get to Y, whatever it is, 5-10 years sooner, I mean, everybody would do it every time. And I mean, obviously certain groups or nothing's guaranteed in life. So there's always risk associated, but if you do it intelligently and do your research, you're going to find the way.
And so I have on my podcast, I've talked about it a few times, but it's something I've developed. It's one of my circles, if you will, of my coaching. But I run everything through a filter that I have, and I call it like the process, right? And if you've heard that, so the way it goes is it's the acronym is BEAR, and it's BEAR. So beliefs, environment, actions, results. And so the first thing that what took me 10 years is the belief, right? Is the belief that I'm capable of growing a big business, the belief that I can become a leader, the belief that I can have $1 million dent business and still be humble, all those beliefs, right? Mm-hmm. And then the second step of that is an environment. And really over the last year or two, I've really put myself into environments that help me grow, right? Starting a podcast, going to MTE over the last couple of years, joining mastermind groups like Arate and also PDR related groups as well. I know you're in one and I'm in a different one, but they're there. So put yourselves in those opportunities and areas to grow, right? And then the third thing in the process is action, right? Because none of this shit works. Like, this is the biggest knock on self-development. The biggest knock on everything is that, like, you can't just think your way or visualize your way into a greater life.
What are you talking about? That's how you manifest everything. You sit around and you imagine and you imagine and you imagine, and then it all happens.
And then it just poof, it works, right? That's the biggest detractor to self-development. Yet, yes, all of those things are in the process of, right? Like visualization, there's scientific proof in studies that your brain cannot tell the difference between visualization and actual reality. So if you visualize yourself doing something enough time, your brain starts to think that actually happened, right? And that's how you create beliefs. But you still have to take action, right? So join the groups, start your business, listen to the books, put yourself in the environment, all that stuff. But then you have to take action. And that's the part where people start to get scared. Like, you have to actually send someone your credit card number for $4,000 or $15,000. I've hired a personal coach, $15,000 personal coach. Right? You have to fly to MTE. You have to start a podcast. You have to walk into that dealership. Like, they're big stuff, small stuff. You have to walk into the dealership and say that you're the best option for them. Yep. You have to tell a customer, like, yes, that dent repair is $250 and I'm going to be here for 30 minutes. Like, you have to take action on these things or nothing ever changes.
Exactly.
You know?
Yes, sir. And that's the hardest part for so many people. And, I don't know. Maybe, you probably have a better way of telling people that they need to do that. And I don't know if it's start small or whatever. I got my teeth kicked in selling advertising. I had to walk into how many businesses and be like, oh, you want to add in the yellow pages? Like, nobody wants that. So selling dent repair wasn't difficult in comparison. But I can see where, especially somebody new to the industry trying to walk into a dealership. I mean, car guys are special, and they can cut you down pretty quick if you're not used to it. So
I agree. I mean, yeah, a lot of it's reps, because I did the same thing. Like, I was in the outside sales for 3 years. I knocked on a million doors. I remember the first, like, when I started working, started working for a trucking company. I was like a management trainee, and I was like in sales, and like this guy named Billy took me out, and Billy was like, he's probably the one who told me about Zig Ziglar, but he was like just this outgoing, like just a salesman, just like big dude and just like funny and like would slap you on the back and like was like crude and probably he's perceived now as like misogyny to all the girls that he walked into. It's just like this dude, right? Just like man, like drink, like I drink till 3 and then get up at 6 and do sales, and just like this guy. And he would just like walk into these places and just be like the coolest fucking dude there was in that room, and people just loved him. I don't think that's the way it works now, but like just putting in the reps, right? You just got to go do it. Like I was so scared, man. I remember just like probably having to stop at the restroom before I went into every office because my nerves, right? They're just crazy. Like, I'm going to go in and tell them that they should buy my stuff. Like, oh my God.
Did you ever watch, what are the classic movies? Glengarry Glen Ross, classic sales movie. All right, put it on your queue. And Boiler Room, another
Boiler Room,
sales movie. But
yeah, lots of good ones out there.
That's what I think when you're describing the guy who took you out. I think of movies like that.
Sales is different now.
Oh,
it is. This was 2011 or so. I think in a decade, sales have changed everything. I think the three things you need to focus on with your sales, they need to like you, know you, and trust you. I think those are the biggest things. So if you're going to walk into a dealership and sell, or walk into a body shop or somebody or somewhere, they need to like you, and then know you, and then trust you. Those are the three steps to sales. So
absolutely,
it doesn't take one time. You're going to have to go in there 8 times. We had this conversation on our podcast. You go in there and say hi, go in there and bring a coffee, go in there and ask if you can help, go in there and see if they have any dents you need fixed, go in there and see if the service department needs anything. You have to have these conversations and make them like you and know you. And eventually they can trust you when you start to perform repairs for them.
Yep.
And
one
every
is giving them a card and just asking them if do you guys have a trash can?
Mm-hmm.
Hand them your card and just be like, look, I know it's the first time I'm here. I don't expect you to hire me today, but I'll see you next week.
Yeah, and that's the humor side. I love that on the podcast. I've told that to a couple people actually since we've talked, that you'd made round Frisbee-like cards and you hand it to them and say, I made them round so it's easier to toss into the trash can from your desk, right? And that's know you, and that's like you. Like, all right, like I get it. Like the thing with car guys is there's not a lot of bullshit. It's like direct stuff. And I think that people they're in sales, like used car guys and sales guys, like car dealers are like one of the last places where true salesmen.
You're not going to implement these sales systems to a guy that has also listened to the same programs 100 times. There's nothing that annoys me more. Yeah. If I go we just bought a new furniture for the bedroom. You go into somewhere and you just feel them going through their script, and I'm just like, Bob, go away. I'll find you if I want something.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, you're talking to these sales guys that, most used car managers are at least a salesman first or something like that. And these guys were, they're furniture sales, car sales, like the ultimate sales. Like they'll do anything. Like they'll get your grandma to fucking come down and co-sign on the car loan to sell you the car. They understand the game, right? And so there's no sales tactics, there's no tricks. It's direct. It's like the way I've gotten the most accounts I've ever gotten are literally either one, asking them when can I come to your dents? I know I fixed a few for you. You say the other guy shows up, you don't even fucking know his name, right? Or when he comes, but he's here, right? When can I start? And that's one. And then the other one was actually going and finding a dent on the lot that wasn't worked on because it was too big, and saying, can I fix this for you?
Yeah.
I will show you.
Just assuming that they're going to do it, and just show them. I use an iPad, whatever you use, but if you go in with a repair to be done and say, it's all right here, it's all in my system, this is how much I can fix it.
Yeah.
You have to put that opportunity out there for them to say yes to. Just saying, hey, can I fix your dents is not...
they got to know you, then they have to like you, and then you can start pushing. Once they know you and like you, you can start pushing, because that last trust part, most of these guys aren't going to just freely give that out to you. And most of them, they're not even going to give you an opportunity to earn that a lot of the times. They're almost looking for you, as the salesman sitting in the lot and the customers walking the car lot, are you going to go get that customer? Right? You know how it works with the car lots. You can't walk on a car lot without 2 or 3 guys coming, hey, you know what I mean? You can't just go in there and expect them to call.
It's your first week or two at that lot. I mean, a couple sales guys are going to come knocking at your door.
Yeah. No, I mean, as far as if you're a customer buying a car on a car lot or in a furniture store, they're going to come to you.
Oh yeah.
Right. The salesman will come to you. Right. When you're a dent guy, you're a salesman and you need to go to that customer, which is the used car manager, the person at the sales tower, whoever, like you need to go to them, right? Know you, like you. And then it's your job to go get the work. They're never, very rarely will they ever call you up unless you're playing the long game, right? Know you, like you, and then maybe 3 years down the road, they'll call you, right? But if you're trying to get work now, you have to go get the work. Like you have to go sell yourself. Absolutely. That starts to go back in the process. That starts with beliefs. That starts with beliefs in yourself, belief you're capable, belief you can fix anything, belief that you can do this. And then when you believe in that and you believe in your product and you believe in the service you can provide, then you can sell it like there's no tomorrow.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
So go ahead.
Oh, I don't know where I was going, but
I go everywhere. I'm sorry.
Yeah. We've gone down a few tangents here. That's what we would hope for anyway. But
that's how my brain works.
Yeah, well, definitely. I think that's everybody. So
yeah.
But yeah, so you're doing all these groups and all of that stuff, and then I mean, what pushed you over the edge to now say, I wanna be a coach. I'm gonna start helping some other guys get to where I got.
Yeah. I think it's preparation and opportunity. So I've been preparing for that, not knowing, but preparing for it for a long time. Just learning, growing, reading, being in groups, all that stuff. And then the opportunity, right? So I hired a coach. I was growing my dent business and all that stuff. And it kind of in between that transition to like, I just really like this stuff. I just really like having the conversations. People ask you like, if you had to do something for free, what would you do? And for me, it's not dents, to be perfectly honest with you. It's not dents. But this stuff I can do. I can have these conversations. I can go to group events. I can help people grow. I love that stuff. And I saw an opportunity in the dent business that, I mean, the dent repair training is there, right? Guys are getting trained like faster than we've ever seen. Probably a dozen a day, I would imagine, throughout the world, or a couple dozen a day, right? I mean, you can name Mike Toledo and Top Gun with Marty, like guys every week they're just training people, good people too. And they're good at dent repair.
There's a lot of quality training out there, and they're turning out some really good technicians. So,
and I agree with that. And a book that I read that influenced me a lot was The E-Myth from Michael Gerber. One of the first books I ever read on Audible, probably 8 years ago. And I remember that he said there's differences between technicians and business owners, or I don't remember how he phrased it, but the technicians doing the work and the people that own the businesses. And in this industry, naturally, and my dad being one of them, is a technician.
Oh yeah.
Like through he loves using his hands. He loves doing the work. He loves the finished product. He loves all of that. And I see that in a lot of guys throughout the industry is they're technicians. And I think the one thing that they lack is the business side of things. And so I saw opportunity to help people with that, because that's what I love. That's what I like to do. I fix dents in the meantime, and I'm pretty good at it. I mean, I've been doing it for, I've been around it for close to 20 years, but about 15 more so full time with a little gap in there. And I do that work, but I love the business stuff. I love having the conversations. I love helping people grow. I love helping people see their life and see their business from a different perspective, a perspective that they'll never see on their own, because that's not how our brains work.
Yeah, absolutely. I can only imagine. I've had the opportunity to talk to a couple guys newer in the industry, and kind of walk them through like, oh, this is how you set up a GMB page, this is how you set up your Facebook, this, that, blah, blah, blah. And that's been pretty rewarding. But I don't think I could coach them past the technician stage, because honestly, that's probably where I'm at with my pushing business. Because if I'm not there, there's no money coming in.
Yeah.
And that's that's what I'm hoping to achieve in 2021 is to get myself to a point where, you know, I have one kid I'm training, but really what I need is a technician to help me because I can't only push so much metal.
I'm in the same boat as you, man. Like, I own a little portion of my dad's business, but I still work for him. Like, as my main source of income, I'm an employee still. And so I work my ass off right now, to be perfectly honest with you, trying to grow my coaching business and make enough money in dent repair. So I'm working 4 days a week right now, pushing dents at like a fucking bat out of hell as much as I can those 4 days. Yeah. And then on Tuesdays and the weekends, I'm growing the coaching side, to be perfectly honest, but I love it. I love doing it. I've been pushing dents for so long. I enjoy it, but it's, you know, I listen to books and podcasts while I do it. Let's just say that.
You go into autopilot. Yeah. I mean, you know, and depending on my schedule that day will depend on what I'm listening. Is it a podcast day or is it, you know, fire up the dubstep or the Jay-Z, whatever playlist that's gonna get me really rocking. But I totally get that.
I see that in this industry is that people have a hard time building their companies or moving away from the technician and into the owner.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it's a pay cut to start. I mean, because you can push, you know, pick your poison. I think everybody probably has different numbers of what they can push, but it's somewhere between, you know, 100 to, I mean, depending on what kind of business you're doing. I've heard of guys doing upwards of 400 just themselves pushing.
Right. I don't mind. Do you mind talking about numbers? Because I don't mind.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, we can talk numbers.
I believe that if you're good at dents, like you can do big stuff. Maybe not like everything, like, you know, like the Bryces and stuff, but you can fix big dents. You can fix 15-inch dents and fenders. You can fix door. Like, you can do all that and you can make them clean. Like 99% of people are stoked when you're done, right? Yep. You should be making 15 grand a month billing. You just should. Like, it's the market's there. The opportunity is there. The customers are there. Whether it's wholesale or retail customers, like, you should be able to push 15 a month. Oh, definitely. And I mean, that's, you know, if you're working every day of the week, not the weekends, that's typically 21 to 22 days a month. We're talking $700 to $800 a month or a day, $700 to $800 a day.
Yeah. $750 a day will get you 15 if you're working 5 days a week.
And so as I talked to people, the preparation meet opportunity. So I was preparing for all this stuff and the opportunity came out. I would talk to people, like people would find me on Instagram or Facebook and we would talk. Other Dent Pro people or other people I met through other Facebook groups, like we would just talk and I'd be like, oh yeah, we should do this, we should do that. And like over the years and years and years, like I would help them, they would help me. We would grow our businesses. We got Dent Pro up to doing over $1 million a year. In just dent repair. We don't do any other services or anything. And I was like, this is great. Like I think we're doing really well. As I look around other businesses, there's, you know, solo guys or one guy and they're struggling to this. I'm like, man, it's like, I don't know if it's a combination of I've been in it so long and I know how to do outside sales, but like I understand something and I can see a perspective and I know how to grow people's businesses. I know what they can do to grow their businesses. So I'm like, I should start helping people do this. So I would help people do it for free. But what was bad about that is that I wouldn't commit my time. They would call me and I'm like, I'm busy. Sorry, bro. I can't talk. Right. And so the only real way for me to provide tons of value to the industry is a value exchange, right? You pay me money. I give you time. I give you my mental time and my physical time every single week. The same time every single week, I will spend at least an hour with you.
Yeah. Well, there has to be accountability on both sides. I mean, not just for the coach, but for the coachee, the trainee,
the client.
The client.
Yeah.
So if I want to grow my business and I'm like, hey, Cory, hook me up. Yeah. Come on, bud. We were on each other's podcast.
Yeah. Like, give me all the advice, right? But the thing is that
give me the key.
I will though. Like I'll give, that's why I have a podcast. The podcast is free. I'm not going to do ads. I'm not going to sell tools on it. I don't do anything on there. I just talk to cool people and give you tips. But the problem is, like we talked about earlier, people don't do anything with free shit. They just don't. They just don't see the value in it. When you get something for free, you don't have a perceived value. Some people do, and they'll take some stuff and do it. But really, when you want to like bet on yourself and be accountable to yourself, when you put up money in your own personal development, your own business growth, that's when you show up.
Yeah. Well, there has to be some investment there. Absolutely. I mean, I thought of the saying, why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free?
Yeah.
Same thing goes. I mean, if some floozy's throwing herself at you, you're not going to imagine yourself as her her as the future mother of your children.
That is a fair analogy to say. Probably true.
Sorry, guys.
It's probably true.
Things going on up there.
But yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I went to, is that like I see an opportunity in the industry, and I think I have the skills to do it. I think one of the things that I look for in hiring a coach is like that someone's been there, right? And so, if you haven't built $1 million dent repair business and you want to, I've done that. I at least helped do it, right? I took an existing business from my dad, which was doing somewhere in the mid 200,000s when I came back in 2012, and we got it to $1 million. So it's possible. It's not, I'm not special. I have all my own struggles, and hopefully I've shared some of those too. So you can see it just hasn't been like an easy ride. But that's where I learned the most, that's where I learned how to get over those things. And I think a coach really helps with that in the process of the beliefs and the environment. You put yourself around the people and do all that. And that action part, I think, is really where having an accountability partner, if you can find one for free, that's great. Or hire somebody to be that person for you. And then I have conversations with my clients every week. And it's like, okay, discussion of what's going on in your business. Here's where you want to go. Here's what we need to do. Okay, here's what I see from your perspective, what you need to do, right? You need to go do this thing. And they're like, yeah, well, but, and then it's like, here come the limiting beliefs, and here come the reason why I can't, and the reason why only other people can, right? And then we work through that stuff, and it's like, okay, I realize that here's what I have to do. It's hard, right? But here's what I have to do.
Yeah, well, some birds don't fly until they get pushed out of the nest.
Yeah, that's true.
You got to force it sometimes, and
that's true.
Not everything is going to start beautifully, and people are going to trip along the way. I mean, perfect example. I forgot to put up my logos and my borders.
I saw that
until about 10, 15 minutes in. So, it's not always going to start pretty here, but we learn as we go, and hope everything gets better and better along the way.
And it will if you want it to. That's probably one of the biggest things I've learned, man, is that like we see other people, like I'm like 40 episodes into my podcast or something, or you see other people's podcasts, or you see other people's repairs on Facebook, or you see, and you feel like you can't start until you're that, right?
Right. Yeah.
Or you
I
see
can't put any videos up until I have Bryce Kelly quality.
Yeah.
That'll shoot you in the foot every time,
because you'll never do anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's absolutely the thing. You'll never take any action. And that's
if I waited for my podcast to be as good as yours, it would never have started.
It would never have started. I agree. Yeah. Or if you compare it to like a podcast that is bigger than the PDR industry, right? That has millions of listeners. Like those, most of those people, it wasn't their first podcast. The podcast that I started was not my first podcast. I've done other podcasts that un-PDR related.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
Yeah. I've tried all different things that have failed and started to fail, different stuff. That's part of the entrepreneurial or part of the growing part of life, right? We did 12 episodes of that podcast and it didn't go anywhere, and I lost interest in it. But anyway, so that's one of the biggest things, that if there's any actionable advice, is just like start before you think that you're ready to start, right? Absolutely. Like just put the before and after video on YouTube. You don't need an intro and outro, no voiceover. I don't even give a shit if it has any words in it at all. Just put it on there. Like, break the barrier to entry of doing that.
Yeah, you got to.
And then the next one that you do, or 3 of them later, make that one better. And then like 25 videos later, you can have an intro made on Fiverr, and an outro and a voiceover, and add words to the bottom, and do all those things. But like, don't make that be the barrier to entry to doing. It's like if you start a dent repair and you're like, the first dent I have to fix is like an 8-inch dent through a body line on a door, aluminum door, right? It's like, no, you start with the little dents and get better.
Gotta start ugly. Everybody had their first kiss at some point, and it probably didn't go well.
It was probably bad.
So we're getting close to rounding it up. I have a couple questions I like to ask everybody. And,
cool.
The first is, what is your least favorite PDR related question, whether it be from a customer, a used car manager? Who knows? The
first one that popped to my mind is the one that I hear all the time, which makes the reason it's so absurd is because it makes no sense. And I get it just way too often. It's like hilarious. Well, it used to be hilarious, and now I'm probably looking at an asshole when people ask me the question. But I fix majority of dents through the window. And so the window's rolled down and it's wedged open, and people walk by and say, "Oh, they said you lock yourself out of your car?"
You look
the fucking window's down, dude.
Yeah,
but you're not paying attention.
I love that one. But yeah.
So that's like, I don't know. That's the first one that popped in my mind.
Yeah. I just say yes now. Yeah.
It's like, yep. Oh, you know what? I should just reach. I've done so many different. It depends on my mood, right? It depends on, like, if I'm in a good mood, or if I'm in a bad mood, I just fuck with them. It's like the window's open, or it's like I'll play along with it. But yeah, that's the question that popped in my mind, because I feel like I just get it all the time. It just cracks me up.
It's the best when it comes from the new, the greenhorn sales guy at the dealership.
I'm like, oh, you're cute.
Maybe take a couple more of those computer trainings and check back with me.
Yeah. The next best that I would say is like, they'll ask, like, whenever you're tapping on the car, there's always a plethora of comments about, aren't you putting that the wrong way? Yeah, you're making dents, like all this stuff, And honestly, when I see that, though, like, it just heightens in my mind that this industry is just so tiny. It's just like no one even knows about it. There's so much more growth opportunity, because I get annoyed about it sometimes. I'm like, man, like, it's cool to be in an industry that is essentially brand new to the world. Like,
so this we're segueing perfectly into the second question that I ask everybody, and that question is, what can we do as an industry to create better public awareness around paintless dent repair? Like, how do we get from, did you lock your keys in the car, to, oh, you're clearly doing paintless dent repair.
Can I have your business card? Yeah. Use every opportunity that you possibly can to make people your salesmen, period. And I've been doing this for years now. And I think that's why our business is, the part of our business's longevity is success. It's success. People, when we started in the 90s, my dad started in the 90s, and every dent guy hid what they did. They like legitimately, like, my dad was in 91. There was a guy in Sacramento that was here in the 90s, or like late 90s, like right before my dad. And actually, technically, my dad started in San Jose in the Silicon Valley area, and then came to Sacramento later. But they would hide what they did. They would literally put sheets up sometimes and hide what they did. And it like, looking back from my perspective now, blows my mind. I guess maybe, I don't know if I'd have been one of them if I started in the 90s. My dad never was. But people can't learn how to do it by watching you. Just, we should all know that by now. Like, I'll give you a tool. Like, take a tool. I'll tell you what to do. Like, good luck, right? Like, don't hide it. Like, people love seeing people really good at stuff. Like, they love seeing, like, experts perform their craft. Like, why do you think sports are so popular? Right? Is because, like, everybody knows how to to take a basketball and like shoot it up into the round thing and make it, right? Like everyone's probably done that once in life. But when you see somebody like that good at it, like some of the that fast and that big and that like they're just experts, and it's like fascinating to see how much of their life they've spent doing this to be so good at that thing that they just make it look easy. Right? Like on TV, you make it like it looks easy. Like when you're watching football, it doesn't look like they're running that fast, and it doesn't look like, but like in reality, you go down on the field, like big dudes just crashing into each other, right? Yeah. I'm flip-flopping sports analogies here. I'll bring you back around.
Your 40-yard.
Yeah, 40-yard pass on a dime.
With perfect touch while you have,
300-pound guys.
The collective weight of a defensive line.
A ton. A literal ton. Yeah. Right. And to do that. And so like people love watching that though. And when I'm doing this, like when I'm performing dent repair in a parking lot at someone's workplace, which actually doesn't happen that much this year, but at a dealership, any of those places, every single one of those opportunities, when the guy comes and stands behind you and watches you, that is your opportunity to make him into your salesman.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
and so
don't get annoyed.
Don't get annoyed. That's exactly what I think. Don't get annoyed because like it's like the guy, like the athletes, if I can go back to that, because they're the experts in their field, right? The pinnacle of what they do is like them getting annoyed at signing autographs. I'm like, you realize the reason you make money is because people uncontrollably love what you do. Like, I don't understand why you don't support that. Right. Yeah. I guess maybe some athletes to get to a point where they don't have to, but
I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just here so I don't get fined. Hold on, let me put my hoodie on. Oh man. But I mean, like, so take that opportunity, right? Like whenever I have that opportunity and I call it an opportunity, right? Perspective change, like all of life is perspective change. And so take that and teach them. Like literally explain to them why you're tapping something down. Like I've told people like, yeah, we're like, so, and you think that they don't want to hear it, but they actually do. I promise you. Like, yeah, when a door hits your car like this, the metal actually goes in, but then all the metal gets dispersed around it. Like it has to go somewhere, right? Like that makes sense, right? Like, oh yeah, that makes sense. It has to go somewhere. And when it doesn't just go in and stay, it goes in and it also comes out and around. Right. And they're like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. And so what I have to do is I have to push it from the backside and I have to put it back from the outside. One of the biggest reasons why people aren't good at dent repair is because they don't know where to tap crowns. They don't know how to release pressure. Right.
Yeah.
And so I go through all these things with them. And after that, they're just like, especially if it's a customer and you're at their retail and you charge them $300 and you're there for 45 minutes. And if you can talk to them while you're doing that, they're like, I get it.
Yeah.
I understand why I paid him so much money.
Yep. And it's awesome to see when somebody is understanding and they are engaged when you're having those conversations. Yeah. And it's also kind of funny sometimes you start doing that to maybe the wrong person.
Yeah. And they're like, all right, I'm going to go inside.
They're like, I got to go get some coffee. You call me when you're done here.
Yeah, one of two things will happen. One, they'll just perceive you as an expert and they'll leave, and that's fine. They know you're the expert. Cory from Dent Repair knows your shit. I don't really care. I just want people who know their shit to work on my stuff. Done. The second thing you'll get is a lot of people like to be in the know. So same thing with athletes, right? They like to know stats and know this and know the records and know the history and know all that. They're a fan, right? Yeah. And those are the people that can become your salesman, because when they feel like they're in the know, like when the car salesman at the dealership feels like he knows dent repair, which he doesn't, but he feels like he does after a 90-second overview of what, then he can go tell his buddies. He's a car guy. That's why he started selling cars anyways. He didn't know what the fuck to do with his life. He likes cars. He has like a Civic that he lowered and so he's like, I'm going to go sell some Hondas. Right. He likes cars. So now he can talk to all his buddies. Like, yeah, man, this car dude, like this dent repair guy, like this. And he like made it perfect. Like, yada, yada. So that's what I would say. Like if we have 5,000 guys across the country selling to one person a day by the end of 2021, I don't know. I didn't have that math prepared, but it's a lot of people.
It's a lot of people.
A lot of people. So that's how I would do it. There's no large company that's going to put marketing campaigns into the world or on the Super Bowl commercials at this point. So it's on all of us.
For a Super Bowl commercial, how many dent guys would contribute to that?
Put up like $100 each and just like a generic paintless dent repair commercial for everybody. Look up your local dent repair company.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
I've thought of that before. Actually,
I've thought
we
of
had
that
a
too.
conversation about that MTE Vegas. Me and
really?
S and Thomas from Stanliner, and we were all talking about. I think we might. Yeah. Anyway,
I agree. It would be cool.
That far, obviously, because
isn't it like how many millions for like a second?
Yeah, 30 seconds is around. It's about $1 million a second. It's about like 25 million for 30 seconds. So
there's not enough money in the dent community, I don't believe.
We're probably not quite there yet.
We're not quite there yet. Yeah, but that's my answer to that question is take every opportunity and just selfishly for your own local market.
Yeah.
Take every opportunity to turn as many people you can into salesmen. That's what it is. Sales women or women.
People. Sales people.
Sales people.
Sales thems.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway. Well, that might be the best answer yet. Sorry to everybody else. Hopefully my previous guests weren't listening. But yeah, so that is awesome. I do like that. Take those opportunities, people, and use them.
And they are opportunities.
Yeah.
They're not frustrations.
Try to avoid looking at the new detail kid at whatever dealership when he's standing over your shoulder going, how does that work?
Yeah.
Actually tell him.
Actually tell him. And he's not going to take your job.
Probably not.
I don't know where the sheets came from in the 90s and people hid dent repair and all that stuff. I'm not sure what the fear was there because I'm like,
I know they were getting a lot for training back then. I mean, I've heard of guys paying $100,000 for training.
Right, but if someone comes and looks over your shoulder for 30 minutes, they still need training.
Oh yeah.
I don't understand like why you would hide anything. But different times, I guess. It was a very secretive cult-like industry back in I think actually now that I'm talking about it, I bet they just didn't want them to ever enter into PDR because it was so good and it was so niche that they didn't want any other dent technicians to ever enter. Which is funny because that's still the case today. There's still tons of people on forums.
So many guys are of that mindset, and
cracks me up.
I think the tides are turning, and I think critical mass has been reached, and I think the guys like you and I and everybody that is on Facebook and Instagram and helping other people along. I think that's making us all grow together, and I think it's better for the industry overall because there might be 10 or so PDR shops in my market, which is kind of high, but there's hundreds of body shops. So
hundreds. I've done this math before too, and I got to pull. I'll put that. I got to put that back on my Instagram today. I do it every once in a while, but I do the math on how much opportunity there is in PDR. And if I think the body shop business is a $30 billion industry as a whole in the US, just the US. And if you took 10% of the work going to body shops and gave it to dent guys, which I've serviced dozens of body shops, and there's 10% of stuff that I could do there, period. And it's cheaper, faster, better, no paint. The list goes on, right? That's $3 billion. $3 billion. And we just talked a good dent technician should be doing about $200K a year. So what's 2 billion divided by 200,000? Like another 15,000 dent technicians. And the thing is, we're never going to get that work from the body shops until we have the technicians there to do it. Right. And that's where competition is. Like more people come into the Sacramento market. It makes me up my game. They up their game. We take more stuff. We advertise against each other. We take more retail. We take more stuff from body shops. We do this. Maybe competition lowers wholesale potentially. Maybe, I don't know. But that's how that part grows. Like like if all of a sudden 10% of all the people that take their cars to the body shops decided to call me, like they're going to get fixed next year.
Yeah.
So it can't work that way. The only way for it to work is there to be more people into the business. But the thing is, and this is what I'm telling a lot of my clients, and I don't think I've shared this on outwardly to anybody, but eventually it's going to be easier to work for a company than it is to start your own business. And we're getting very close to that point, in my opinion. Maybe they don't stay forever. I have ways to make people stay. I know that's a big problem in the industry where they come and they leave, right? You did it. People in our business did it, right? Yeah. But eventually it's going to be easier, because imagine coming out, paying 15 grand to train, go to Sacramento and try to get into some accounts, right? You're dealing with me, you're dealing with Keith's company, Bullseye, right? A couple other fantastic companies. Like it's going to be hard to get some traction. It's going to be really difficult, right? And then to go online, you're like, okay, I'll go retail. Like you're dealing again with me and Keith, who have been at this for 5 years plus. Like try to organically rank higher than us. It's going to be really tough. At some point, it's going to be easier to call one of us up. And I know Keith hired somebody last year who was out of CarMax and looking for a job. We've done the same thing and worked for somebody. Yeah. So take care of your business, grow your business, become the best business you can, and be the most outward facing. And those people can find you, and you can get those customers from the body shops and give them to those people.
Absolutely.
So
tremendous advice.
Yes.
All right. Is there anything I missed? Anything I missed that you were like, John, I was really hoping you were going to ask me
of my entire life story? No, I'm just kidding. No, man. I mean, no, we did it.
We covered a lot.
I hope I helped some people.
I learned more than I've ever known. So
nice.
I think we're better off.
Yeah.
But I always do a quote of the week, and the quote of the week today, I think, is fitting for you and your followers and a lot of the stuff we talked about today. But it always seems impossible until it's done. So you're not going to get that account. You're not going to transform your business. It always looks impossible from the outside, but you got to start somewhere. So
yeah, 100%.
No.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I would say check me out on my website, CoachCoryK.com.
CoachCoryK.com.
CoachCoryK.com, and Instagram too. Same thing. Yeah.
If you guys aren't listening to his podcast somehow, but you are listening to mine, I think that's a little backwards, but listen to the Coach Cory K podcast, PDR Coach.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. I've learned a lot from it. And,
thanks, man.
It's been a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. So,
it was fun.
Until next time, everybody, keep dreaming. We'll see ya.